critical election for our community. It's easy for politicians to come out and pander to our community's fears. It's easy for politicians to pit you against other communities. It is much harder for people to come out, build unity, build solidarity with other communities, focus on jobs, focus on small businesses, focus on healthcare, focus on housing, the hard work. Governor Hochul has proven that she's willing to put in that hard work, and she deserves our vote. That's why we're here. We're going to get all of our votes out, tell our friends, tell our cousins, tell everyone to make sure we vote Democrat up and down in this election. Thank you so much. 谢谢.
Thank you, Assembly Rankin. Thank you for all your do for the vulnerable in the community. You have been a strong voice. Before I introduce the next speaker, I just want to ask everyone a question. Where was Lee Zeldin when there was so much anti-Asian hate? Where was Lee Zeldin? He kept quiet. He was invisible. Who was there for us? Governor Hochul stood with us each time. She has always been a champion of the AAPI community. Lee Zeldin has never been there for us. He wants to make friends with us for now, for the election, for our vote. 前段日子，当仇视亚裔的言论暴行在纽约泛滥的时候，李修正在哪里？他没有出声，他没有出现，是霍楚州长每次站出来批判这个仇视我们亚裔的行动。李修正从来没有重视过我们华人社区，他为了选举，为了这个票跑到我们华人社区来，我们千万不能让他红走我们的票，我们要把这个信息，把这个 facts 告诉我们每一个的亲戚朋友，我们可以做得到吗 ？Can we do that? Thank you. Next speaker, Charles Yu. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hello everyone, my name is Charles Yoon. I wear many hats in our community, but today I stand here as an Asian American, as a Korean American. Since the pandemic started, I've watched the governor come to where we are. I mean, you can see from those posters at those rallies, at the stores, she came and she expressed her concern for our community. I still remember when we're doing food delivery to those who are most impacted, the governor stood next to me and grabbed bags of food so that those members most vulnerable in our community could get the food that they need. The governor was also out there in creating programs to support small businesses survive. And the governor heard our pleas and our cries when Asian hate was going on. And I want to say there's a special supporter here who is here today, with all due respect, the late Christina Yuna Lee, who was murdered in Chinatown. Her father is here, actually, Sungwon Lee. Just get up for this. And he's here to express his gratitude towards the governor. 저는 한인 커뮤니티에서 여러 모자를 쓰고 있지만은 오늘은 한인으로서, 아시안으로서 여기 참여를 하게 되었습니다. 저희 커뮤니티에서 가장 필요할 때, 우리가 가장 그 정부의 지원이 필요할 때, 주시장님께서는 앞장서셔가지고 저희 커뮤니티에 오셔서 직접 도움을 주셨습니다. 저희가 음식 나눔을 할 때 주시장님께서 앞에 서가지고 음식을 직접 나누시고, 또 여기 소상인 비즈니스 리더분들도 많이 와 계신데, 여기 홍대수 저기 직능단체 협의회 의장님도 와 계시고, 여기 한인 리더들 와 계신 분 한번 손 들어 보시고 한번 a lot of Korean small business association leaders and owners are here today to also express their appreciation for the governor. So on behalf of all the Asian Americans and the Koreans, we're all here to thank the governor, express our appreciation for all that she has done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles. We have community leader from Chinese community, Korean community, and South Indian community. We all say the same thing. Where was Lee Zeldin when there was so much anti-Asian hate? he was quiet, he was invisible, he was never there for us. 霍楚州长一直跟我们社区站在一起。Okay, our next speaker, Sashi Malik, Sabir Center for Humanity. Thank you. Let's welcome Sashi.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. And first of all, I'm very humble and privileged to be speaking in front of all of you. And you deserve a thank you right away because you all believe in something. And I have to say, my name is Shashi Malik and I believe in myself. I believe in myself to make right choices to myself. And also, right choice for my community because I live in community and I serve community. And someone asked me, why you are supporting Kathy Hochul? Kathy Hochul is not only governor, she is my friend personally, and she came to my house to visit, to learn about the concern of our community. So I have very simple message. Somebody asked you why you are supporting Kathy Hochul. Very easy. Number one, safety. Number two, it's a woman's right. It's our right. Number three, it's our education. That we have to make sure our kids get education, and she's a big supporter. Number four, not only job creation, as the previous speaker said, she appointed many of the Asian community in states, and also a lot of positions she opened it up for Asian community. Number five, that is infrastructure. If we have to have a good living, we have to invest in infrastructure, in the environment. So I would request all of you to go out and vote. And very simple, you can put it in your fingers and tell them why you are supporting Kathy Hochul. So before I leave, two more points. One, a few months ago, as other speakers said, where was other candidate? She was here a few months ago in the Queen's College, and not only she was speaking hate against Asian community, not only that, she put a lot of funds for the safety. And I don't know whether a few leaders are here. They were with me in the Queen's College, and on top of that, when politicians, they come and they say, oh, we are giving you funding. But what she did, she announced that if funding is available immediately for safety. So, one last point, you have to remember, other parties says you want hope or you want a Hochul. But you know what? I laugh at their understanding because Hochul is the hope. We already have the hope. We don't need the hope. We have hope. Thank you very much. And I am from Nassau County. And if you are there and your friends, family are there, we are supporting Senator Anna Kaplan. So anybody wants to volunteer, let me know. And I'm available. And we need all the help we can to elect our candidates. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. The community leader from South Asian community just told us the same thing. Governor Kathy Hochul has been with us all the time. She has been our big support. 所以我们坚决不能相信一个，千万不能相信一个坚决反枪控、要武装老师的人会 keep 我们 community safe. Our next speaker, District Leader Dr. Jin. Ni hao, everyone. How are we doing? I'm your hometown Democrat
leader, Dr. Neeta Jain. I'm sure a lot of you know me. And my partner, male district leader, is John Park, right here somewhere. John, if you are there, you can come up with me. We are all here gathered to support our Democratic Party from top to bottom. And I just want to say that Kathy Hochul is not a stranger for our East Asian, South Asian community right here in Queens. She always comes to see how we are doing. She had a good trip with all of us, with Congresswoman Grace Meng, myself, Toby Stavisky, and a lot of other elected officials, when our community got hit by Ida. And I really saw her, the real face that day. The compassion she has for our community, the love she has for humanity, and that's why we are standing here to support her. Even, I'm sure that you have seen the videos previously shown on this screen. She's washing shoes, sitting with the families in Ida affected area, and right here in Queens on Peak Avenue. And I was with her the whole day, and she really gave her heart out to these families. And this is not only for them, but she has a big heart, big feelings for all our communities right here in New York State. And it is our responsibility to bring her back in the governor's office by electing her on November 8th. So are you all with me to vote for Kathy Hochul on November 8th? You can do better. And yes, and I want you all to also vote for our Congresswoman Grace Meng. Just go on the ballot from top to bottom on Democratic line. We need our Democrats to come back to nurture our families, to nurture our communities, to take care of their basic needs, what our Congresswoman Grace Meng also does. Kathy Hochul and Grace Meng both are for women empowerment, for safety for our children, for schools, for education, for everything we need in our day-to-day life. So I request once again, please tell your friends, families, neighbors to come out and vote on November 8th to the Democratic Party from top to bottom. Make sure you vote for Governor Kathy Hochul and Grace Meng, and all our other elected officials who are standing here, the Assembly member, Ed Bernstein also. Thank you so much. Thank
you. Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin is not fit to lead. Who is Lee Zeldin? Let me tell you who is Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin is a climate change denier, science denier, election denier, weapon ban denier. So we need Governor Hochul more than ever. Our next speaker. Now let's welcome all the elected officials to be on the stage. All the elected officials on the stage. 请大家把你的牌子举起来，好吧？我们来第三本。开心 ，Hochul， 开心 ，Hochul， 开心 ，Hochul， 开心 ，4 more years， 开心 ，Hochul， 开心 ，Hochul， when we vote， our next speaker, community leader, everybody knows him. The senior leader of the FCBA, Peter Tu.
兄弟姐妹大家好，早上好。我只想说这是一个很重要的时刻对华人来讲，因为每一个候选人都可以告诉我们他能为我们做什么，可是选完了以后呢，我们看到的是一次又一次的失望，所以我们要的是一份真实在的东西。 不要使中国人永远成为被人家看到我们支票，看到我们的 contribution， 而没有看到我们的选票。因为 Kathy Hochul 他已经做了1年，可是这对他不公平。我们要再给他4年，而对我而言更重要的是，州市必须合作。如果像以前 Angel Cuomo 跟 de Blasio they fight for each other, it's no hope for New York。所以我们希望的是，州长跟市长能够在适当的机会里面去合作。各位亲爱的兄弟姐妹，这才是我们要的一个安定、稳定的社会，让我们勤俭持家的华人能够非常安心的在这里营生、做生意，好好的过我们的日子。这是我们大家所希望的。所以星期二，请你们一定要携手跟你的家人讲，请投给贺主，请投给 Kathy Hochul 作为下一任的市长。我们再给贺主4年，看看他做的怎么样。做得好，我们继续选他；做不好，4年后我们的选票会说话。各位，我们在这个国家，谁是当家作主？你手中的选票。谁是老板？你手中的选票。可是当你选完了以后，你是选一个人来管理你。这张票投完了以后，不管他是2年，不管他是4年，你要忍受他4年。你只有在等4年后，你在投票的时候，你才有一个选择权。所以各位亲爱的兄弟姐妹，华人，请记得，你手上的选票在星期二，因为你是老板，不只是要选贤与能，要选对的人。我问你，贺楚州长到普拉斯来多少次了？他了解华人，他甚至可以叫出就徐，他可以叫出陈建荣，他可以叫出这个福建会馆的会长。为什么？因为他了解我们的文化。他从副州长开始选的时候，孙文、琳达就带着他，我带着他在普拉西里走。那个时候我跟他讲，不要误会我们中国人，我们来到这个地方，我们赋税，我们辛勤的工作，我们对你美国做出贡献。普拉西的繁荣，普拉西的房地产捐了多少钱？你可以去想想看，1年我们在这个地方付了多少税，你知道吗？在纽约，我们是在顶端的，各位，我们华人是在顶端的。你手中的选票有多重要？那么像 Kathy Hochul 他知道，他了解华人的重要，所以他让孙文、让范小江帮他工作。为什么？他 care。那你再看看我们的民意代表，还有星期二一定要投票给 Grace Mo， 虽然他没有对手，这是我们华人的女儿，我们一定要保持我们亚裔的团队，你看到没有？只有这样，我们才能被看到。可是我们更要珍惜非华人、非亚裔，却愿意常常来了解我们的文化，愿意吃我们下面虎口的食物。要了解我们的文化，先从我们中国食物吃起嘛。多少你尝一点也是个意思啊，是不是？所以，如果我们今天把票投给不是 Kathy， 我请问你，难道我们杜比的我们在这里奋斗了30几年，为了华人的尊严，这张选票我们投不出来，我们如何对自己交代？ 一个那么喜欢华人的州长，我们都不投票给他，那我请问你，你要投给谁？是投给在竞选的时候才到这里来跟你见面、说话、握手、照相的吗？那对你有用吗？我们已经从80年到现在已经这么多年了。OK， 好了。Okay. Let's welcome our governor. Oh, okay. 好 ，Please use. Come on. Okay, let me speak in English because governor is already here. Okay, keep it calm. They want you a call. I say what you want. You say Katie Hochul, please. One more, 3 times, okay? What do you want? Katie Hochul. Katie Hochul. Katie Hochul. Oh, 这个 slogan. 好啦。I want to say 1 year. 1 year is not fair to her. We gotta give her 4 more years. Katie Hochul, hey, stop the music. Stop the music. Come on.
Okay.
1 year is not fair to her. Give 4 more years. Katie Hochul will demonstration for you to be a governor. Okay.
Our Uncle Peter, Uncle Peter.
Our BPO Queens. Celebration.
Yeah, Uncle Peter supported Katie Hochul all the way.
All righty, Queens, how y'all feeling? How we feeling in Flushing? Are we fired up to get Kathy Hochul elected? Are we fired up to get Kathy Hochul elected? I don't hear y'all Flushing.
Kathy Hochul!
Hochul, this election is so important for so many reasons. One of the things I love about our governor is she's not a fair weather friend. She's been with our community through the toughest times in our borough. I think back to the flooding on Peck Avenue in Flushing and how our governor showed up time and time again, along with Congressmember Grace Ming and so many of our other colleagues, to ensure that our communities are not being left behind. I think about when we saw hate crimes in this community and continue to see that. 2 years ago, how Kathy Hochul came out and stood time and time to say we will not tolerate Asian hate or any hate in our county because she understands that our diversity is our strength. So this election is high stakes, my friends. Don't be fooled by the rhetoric by Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin has not stood with this community. Kathy Hochul has stood with this community. So we need you to get out and to spread the message that here in Flushing, we operate not off of fear and dog whistling. We operate off of love and hope in fighting for our neighbors and fighting for a better Queens. So with that being said, I'm so proud to be here amongst so many friends to stand for this governor, the first woman elected in history as the governor of this state. And when we look at history makers, look on this stage, all of our Asian leaders who are making history, cracking that glass ceiling every day. We need to continue to make sure that we're making history and standing up for everyone in the most diverse borough in our country, and that is Queens County. So are you with me?
Yes!
Are you ready for Kathy Hochul?
Yes!
Are you ready to get out there and vote for Kathy Hochul? Are you going to pull your neighbors out for Kathy Hochul?
Yes!
I'm fired up, Flushing. Let's get out there and elect our governor, Kathy Hochul.
Our next speaker, Councilwoman Sandra.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today to support our governor, Kathy Hochul.
I'm really honored to be here with all our guests, our esteemed elected officials. Many politicians have come and talked about inclusion and diversity. They claim to represent our community and the AAPI community. But they only come to Flushing when they want our votes. But Kathy Hochul is different. She has been here with us, whether it was lieutenant governor or when she was governor. Today is not the first time we've seen her, we have talked to her. The stakes are high this year. In these times, New York needs a strong and a capable leader. We need someone who will prioritize building bridges, prioritize our families. And I see Kathy right here in Flushing, as the Queensboro president said. Right when she became governor and when Hurricane Ida hit, she was right here. She provided a shoulder for our family to cry on. She walked with all of us. And I know she'll continue to walk with all of us in these difficult days ahead. We need a governor like Kathy. So I'm so happy to be here today with all of you. We are here to support her. 那我讲几句中文话，我们华人一定，我们的票是我们的力量，所以田野星期二，记得一定要投票。谢谢大家。
Thank you.
And I'm also very happy here to be joined on a long, familiar face, familiar friend, our state controller, Tom DiNapoli.
Hello Queens, hello Flushing. How's everybody doing? Are we ready for the Hochul Delgado Democratic team for victory?
Yes!
Well, it's great to see everybody out this morning. You know, we only have a couple of days until Election Day, and it's a competitive race, let's be honest. So the votes that you cast and how you get out your friends and family members really is going to be key. There's no doubt that the AAPI community is a very, very important part of our electorate here in Queens, in New York City, and in New York State. And don't buy the Republican message that your community is moving over to the Republicans. Not so. Not so. Look at the leadership of the Hochul Democratic team that's here. Is there any better member of Congress than Grace May? I don't think so. Is there any better member of the State Senate than John Liu? I don't think so. Is there any better member of the State Assembly than Ron Kim? What about the New York City Council with Sandra Ung and Linda Lee? And Borough President Donovan Richie's not too bad either, right? And Assemblyman Ed Broadstein's not too bad either, right? And I don't see Senator Toby Stavisky, but she's not too bad either, right? So this is the Democratic team. And it's so important that you get the message out there when it comes to the economy. My friend Peter too knows. Where's Peter? Right? We've talked about Flushing being the economic engine for Queens County, right? We stood with Borough President Donovan Richards. And that's partially because of the great entrepreneur programs that are supported by Governor Hochul, by our state economic development, and I'm proud to say by our pension fund as well. So my friends, are you there for the Hochul Democratic team?
Yes!
Are you there to re-elect Kathy Hochul, our governor?
Yes!
Are you there to support Antonio Delgado, our lieutenant governor? Are you going to be there for Letitia James, our great attorney general? Are you going to be there for Chuck Schumer, our senator and the Senate majority leader? And are you going to remember Tom DiNapoli for controller while you're doing everything else? All right, let's go. November 8th, victory for the Hochul Democratic team. Thank you all.
Our next speaker, our powerful state senator, John Liu. John.
Let's hear it for Tom DiNapoli, our great state comptroller, and we're going to vote him back in for another 4 years, as we are going to do with Attorney General Letitia James. All the electeds here have been mentioned, but we're certainly going to get Tom. You should know that Ed Braunstein is known as Eddie Bibimbap. All right, he is our assembly member in Bayside, alongside Ron Kim in Flushing. It's just a couple of days away from Election Day. And in fact, early voting has already been going on for several days. I've already cast my ballot. And the race, you know, is unexpectedly close. We'll be honest, as our comptroller demands us to be. And so it's time to have a really honest conversation about what's happening. Things are not so good overall. And just like 4 years ago, people were very upset at Republicans. This time, because things are not so good, people are upset at Democrats. We have a governor who has been in office for a year. She's looking for a full term to make her positive impact. And we have somebody who's running against Kathy Hochul. Who is this guy? Does anybody know who this guy actually is? Lee Zeldin. People just know that he's not Kathy Hochul and he's not a Democrat. But what do people really know about this guy? In so many years in the state Senate, what did he do? Name one thing this guy has done in the state Senate. In several years in the United States House of Representatives. What do people know him for? What has he done? Except to deny the 2020 election results. That's the only thing he's known for. People somehow are gravitating to him because he's going to make us safe by repealing bail reform. Doesn't say anything about the COVID crisis, how the courts shut down for 2 years, that trial stopped. Doesn't talk about the thousands of mentally ill who were kicked out of their hospital beds to make room for COVID patients. Doesn't talk about the hard decisions that government had to make in a global pandemic. But he's going to make us all safe because he's going to repeal bail reform. In fact, he says, vote for him or you will die. That is what he said. Vote for it. Vote as if your life depended on it. Because it does. Meaning, vote for him or you're going to die. That's what he says. And then he says he's going to cut taxes. He wants to repeal the state income tax. Repeal the state income tax? That's 60% of our state revenues. Right, Tom? 60% of our state revenues. How are we going to pay for schools? How are we going to pay for hospitals? How are we going to pay for police to make us safer? This is a man of contradictions. He's an empty suit. Why? Because he's got no record behind him. His only claim to fame and his biggest thing going running for governor is that he's not a Democrat and he's not Kathy Hochul. On the other hand, let's talk about Kathy Hochul. Let's talk about this woman who has served her entire life in public service. She has a record in 1 year of making people safer with careful legislation, standing up for immigrants instead of chastising them and scapegoating them, helping small businesses with economic relief as well as legal assistance, and making sure that our schools throughout the state of New York are properly funded and properly governed. This is the Kathy Hochul that in 1 year we've come to know, but there's still a lot more to know about her. This is a person who in Congress, in local office upstate, and as lieutenant governor, I mean, she went to every county in the state of New York every year. She gave Chuck Schumer a run for the money. This is somebody who is a mother. She's a grandmother. Kathy Hochul is the most energetic grandmother ever. And she is going to do us proud as governor of New York State. And she is going to never leave and never forget our community after all the political rhetoric is done. She's the one that's going to make our community safe. That is why we need to be out there for Kathy Hochul today, tomorrow, or Tuesday. Don't give in to the hype. Don't vote for an empty suit just because he's not a Democrat. or who's not Kathy Hochul. Let's really understand who we're voting for. And if you really look at the accomplishments, the experience, and the qualifications, there's just no choice whatsoever. Kathy Hochul for governor. Thank you.
A role model for every girl, every woman in this room and in the AAPI community. Congresswoman Grace Mann!
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Grace Meng. Welcome to our district, and most importantly, we are here to say, welcome back, Kathy Hochul. Welcome home. You've heard from many of my colleagues in government and our community leaders. This is not Kathy's first time here in Flushing. It is not her first time with our AAPI community. I was trying to count how many times she's been here, and I actually lost count because she's always calling out, always reaching out, asking what we need, how much more her and her team can do. And in fact, about a month ago, when we were planning this GOTV weekend, we talked to Kathy, we talked to her team members, and we discussed a couple of ideas where to go in Flushing. And she said she wanted to go back. Come back to the New World Mall, because this is one of the first places that she had visited as Lieutenant Governor and as our governor. And it was a place that felt familiar to her and a place that she felt like was home. So I'm so honored to be here with all of you as we work to get out the vote for our governor. Our governor is someone who is our friend, someone who holds us in her heart, someone who we hold in our hearts. And we have a choice on Election Day to pick someone who has always been there for us from the very first day, even before she got elected, before she got appointed as Lieutenant Governor. Or, as John said, we have a choice to pick someone who needed an escort to get to New World Mall, who needed people to guide him to the Flushing Library. And John asks, who knows Lee Zeldin? I know Lee Zeldin. I work with Lee Zeldin. He is my colleague. And the better choice here, by far, 200%, is Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul has been in our various Queens and AAPI communities. She's visited our small businesses. She sat down and had tea with us. She has talked to our senior citizens. After Hurricane Ida, as Donovan mentioned, she came to our neighborhoods, not once, but multiple times. She held the hands of the victims and the families who lost so much during the hurricane. And where was Lee Zeldin? Nowhere to be found. Did you see Lee in the aftermath of Hurricane Ida, or all that our families went through? Nowhere to be found. There's a lot of stoking of fear these days. I get nervous, right? Things are uncertain. We are slowly coming out of a pandemic. People are scared. We see stories of what's happening in the subways. Well, instead of just stoking fear and using Asian faces as pawns, as political pawns, we have a governor who is taking her job seriously and is trying to do something about it. Making sure there's more law enforcement, crime prevention program, and mental health programs for the people who need it the most. You know when I was also scared? I was scared on January 6th. On January 6th, I was hiding in the Capitol for 6 hours. I didn't know if I would see my family again. I was hiding in the Capitol. And what did Lee Zeldin do after January 6th? He could not even condemn the actions of those who broke into the Capitol. I was scared then too, and he was nowhere to be found. I'm also scared as a mom of 2 young boys, youngish, not as cute as them. Every day when I send my kids to school, You know what I say? Of course I say the usual, I love you, come home early. But I also say, come home alive. I tell my boys to come home alive because I'm scared with all that's happening in the country and in New York that there could be a shooting in school, right? Does anyone worry about guns and what could happen to our kids? It's happening in our schools, in our streets, in our supermarkets, movie theaters, churches, synagogues. That's what scares me. And again, what's Lee Zeldin doing about it? Nothing. He can't even vote for legislation to take our assault weapons off the streets. He couldn't even vote for funding for more gun safety measures and to vote for gun safety legislation. And when we needed him a few months ago to vote for more money, for millions of dollars for our NYPD cops, where was Lee Zeldin? Nowhere to be found. He couldn't even show up for work. I voted for that money for NYPD, not Lee Zeldin. And I'm not always happy with what is going on in our city, state, and country. But we're grown-ups, we're adults, we're a team. We work together to help solve the problem. We don't need someone with no plan who's just using us as political pawns in his 30-second videos to scare people. What's his track record? Where has he been and what is he doing to literally help our community? I don't remember ever seeing him in Flushing before this election. In fact, when I proposed a resolution for all of Congress to condemn anti-Asian hate, a resolution when all of this was happening, I had Republicans vote for my bill, I had Democrats vote for my bill, but you know who didn't vote for my bill? Lee Zeldin would not say that he condemned hate against Asian Americans. So now you know. John asked who knows Lee Zeldin. I know Lee Zeldin. I work with him. And we have a better choice here in Kathy Hochul. I'm going to say a few words in Chinese. Don't worry, it'll be quick. My Chinese is very limited. 大家好，我是孟昭文，非常感谢大家今天能够再次跟我们的好朋友、我们的领导、我们常常见到的州长，现在是大选日，他的对手是我的同事，我很了解他。他之前我们有亚裔这个仇恨案子的时候，他从来没有来到我们法大胜。结果现在选州长的时候，他突然要来我们法大胜，要拜访我们华人亚裔社区。当然，我现在对社区很多事情也不满意。可是在这十几年、几十年，今天在位有很多的侨领。没有任何一个州长、市长那么关心到我们的社区，常常来拜访我们。只有 Kathy Hochul 真正的在我的短短的几年在政治界，他是最关心我们的社区。那当然，现在我们在疫情中犯罪的这个我们也是很怕。可是我们要大家一起合作，怎么能够解决这些问题？我非常感谢州长，他终于听到我们的话。很多人认为在火车上、地铁上需要更多的警察，他也做到了。需要很多的凶手有精神方面的问题，他也来解决，给我们经费解决这个问题。我们在国会前几个月有一个提案，是给我们 NYPD 警察更多的经费。这个是我投票，我赞成支持这个提案。州长的对手根本没有上班，他还缺席，没有投票，也没有支持这个法案。在1月6号的时候，在国会发生的这个事情，那些凶手打破窗户铁门，然后我在一个小小的房间藏起来了6个钟头，没办法出来。州长的对手，他连谴责这些凶手，他这句话都讲不出来。我是一位母亲，每天要送2个孩子上学，我当然也很担心，不管他们是坐地铁，或者是到了 教室，会不会有这个枪发这种打枪的这种情况？我每天都很怕。我们通过法案在国会的时候，就是说不准一般的人有那种很assault weapon ban 自动的枪，他的对手也没有支持这个提案。他说如果有一个提案是，如果人家有精神病或者是有危险的这种倾向，他还是支持他能够有能力买枪。他这种对手让我作为一个母亲，不光是说这个跟我作为一个民主党一个政客没有关系，这种投票率让我感觉到很不安全，所以我们今天是来支持 Kathy Hochul. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. I think we've just been hearing a lot in the news, and I had a lot of things on my heart that I wanted to say to all of you. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here today. And I'm so honored today to gather with all of our colleagues in government, all of our community leaders, those who have been with Kathy many, many times, to say, you've stood with us, you've had our backs, you've been with us, and now we stand with you. We are ready to elect Kathy Hochul as our next governor.
大家把那个招牌举起来哈，我们一起说 Kathy Hochul, Kathy Hochul, Kathy Hochul, Kathy Hochul.
4 more years. That sounds good to me. That sounds good to me. I am so proud to be joined by so many incredible friends that I've had a chance to get to know on this long journey. It was back in 2014 when I first started coming to run for office statewide. And I'll never forget, I was told you have to go to the heartbeat of this community. You have to go to the Queen's Library. And we sat down with Grace Mang, and we sat down with John Liu, we sat down with Peter Tu. I remember meeting Peter Tu for the first time. I know Ron Kim was there, Toby Stavisky was there, and many others who wanted to make sure I understood how important it is to really be out there in the community and just start showing up. And since that time, I've been here so many times I can't keep track. But I want to thank those leaders, the ones who embraced me, starting with Grace Mang. You are so blessed to have a champion like her. She is a fighter, and she's so intent on lifting up the voices of the AAPI community. And it is shocking that Lee Zeldin couldn't even support calling out and condemning not just white supremacists when he refused to do that a couple days ago, but Asian hate crimes. Who does that? What kind of person will not stand with this community when they're under attack? That is shameful. So Grace, thank you for being such a great champion. I also want to thank Senator John Liu, great friend of ours, Assembly Member Ron Kim, Assembly Member Ed Braunstein for being here. We have some great council members too. Sandra Ung is here, and Linda Lee. Thank you for being such strong champions as well. I look forward to spending more time with all of you. I also know that we have, as I mentioned, Peter Tu has been here, strong supporter from the beginning. And we also have our borough president, Donovan Richards, who is crisscrossing this borough's meeting. He is such a passionate fighter. And every time I come here, he wants more money. And he's so nice and friendly. He's like, well, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? Like, all of a sudden, I don't have any money left in my pocket. So I think that's the hallmark of a strong leader, and I have such faith in him as well. But let's talk about the ticket we have. You heard from Tom DiNapoli. He is the person, the most trusted person in government today. He's honest as the day is long. He's out there as a true public servant, a person of the people, and he's also out there making sure that our resources are well spent in the state of New York. Let's give a huge round of applause to our now the next controller, Tom DiNapoli. Tish James has been making the rounds and working with her, and what a tough person she is to stand up against the forces of evil in place in places all over our state to help me get guns off the streets as well. And even after we had a massacre in Buffalo, she stood up and started calling out the social media companies for being the platform where the hatred is spreading. So she's a strong fighter for us. Also, our Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he has been out there bringing more money back to us for infrastructure and jobs and lifting up our communities. And I want to thank him. And I also have an amazing Lieutenant Governor. You need to get to know Antonio Delgado. He is a member of Congress that served with Grace Meng, but now we brought him to serve us here in the state. I only have a few questions for all of you. You know that we're at a crossroads right now. Our future is on the line. Literally, our future is on that ballot. And what kind of future do you want to have for these kids right here? Because I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I know how it feels to say, what's the future going to be like for the children we leave behind? And that's what's on this election right now. This is what it's all about. So I'm going to stand here and ask you a couple questions. Are you prepared to stand with me against the fear-mongering and the hatred and the discrimination that's out there? Are you prepared to stand with me to fight that? Yes! Are you prepared to stand with me against all forms of extremism, including the insurrection and trying to dismantle our democracy? Are you ready to stand with me against extremism? Yes! Are you going to stand with me to make our streets safer? And yes, get illegal guns off the streets and not put them in the hands of teachers and people riding the subways and people sitting in our houses and worship. Are you going to stand with me against the insanity of gun violence? Yes! Well then, what are we going to stand for? We know what we're against. Okay. But when you think about the future, it's about what are you standing for? Are you going to stand with me to make sure that our small businesses, especially in places like the New World Mall, I came here in February of 2020, before the global shutdown, because already, we saw this, Peter, and Grace and others are with me, and Michelle Wayne was. I want to thank Michelle for always being there. What a great leader she is. I want to thank, let's give a round of applause to Michelle. She's got the... Cassie! 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 I hear that everywhere I go. Going ever with me, Michelle. Thank you. But I came here because I knew the small business owners who put everything in their lives and their dreams on the line, and no fault of their own, people stopped coming. It was paralyzing. It was a frightening time. So as we build back, are you going to stand with me as we fight to protect our small businesses? Are we going to stand for our small businesses? Yes, we are. Yes! Are you going to stand with me when we fight for the immigrants who come here just searching for that American dream? Will you stand with me to call out the hatred and discrimination against our immigrant community? Are you with me? Yes! Are we going to stand together to make sure that we bring more money for education so all the children have the same opportunity my parents and grandparents had to lift themselves out of poverty? Will we going to stand with our children and fight for more money for education? Yes! Well, that's who we're fighting for. Our families, our small businesses, our communities, our AAPI communities in particular that are feeling under siege. And we will make our streets safer. We're already on the start. And what I have to tell you one thing. You cannot say you're tough on crime and be soft on guns. It just doesn't work. We've made a difference. We're not done yet. And back on January 6th, not the one with the insurrection Lee Zeldin supported, this was a year later, last January 6th, I stood with Mayor Adams in our subways. He said we have to help people in our subways feel safer. They won't come back. We have cameras. We have more cops. The state of New York is helping police our subways. This has never happened before because we're working together. Your safety is so critically important to all of us. But don't succumb to the fear-mongering that's trying to paralyze all of us into thinking there's an answer somewhere else. The answer lies with us and communities like this, and because of you, because of this community standing up strong for our entire ticket, we will be victorious on Tuesday, and I thank you in advance. Thank you, everybody. Let's bring it home.
大家，请大家把那个招牌举起来 ，OK？ 大家把招牌举起来。Cassie Hochul, Cassie Hochul, Cassie Hochul, Cassie Hochul, Cassie, 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 4 more years. Cassie, 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 4 more years. Cassie Hochul, Cassie Hochul, Cassie Hochul, Cassie, 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 4 more years. Cassie, Cassie. 有那个喝的东西哈，大家可以去拿。然后我们还有 sign， 还有请大家 sign up for volunteer 哈。然后那个拜托每一位参加今天 rally 的朋友，拜托每一位朋友哈，一定要投票，星期二要投票，然后至少请5位亲戚朋友一起投票。李泽等从来没有为我们华人社区服务过。李泽等 is a climate change denier, abortion denier.